Hi, I'm Kelly at Book and Paper Arts, and I have been making videos about altering books here on YouTube for a few years now. And whenever I do, I tend to get the same or similar questions about the process of book altering in the comments below, and that's because they are very basic questions. And today I thought that I would answer some of those by talking about what I know now that I wish I had known then, back in the day, about 17 years ago when I first started altering books. While this is specific to book altering, I suspect that some of the things I'm going to talk about today would also be applied to some aspects of maybe making art journals or junk journals or other mixed media projects. So please stick around. There may be something here that I'm going to talk about today that will help you get up and creating. If you like altered books, art journals, vintage books, and paper and ephemera, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure and turn on the notifications. Then you'll know when I post and you will have more of them in your life. Something that I wish I had known is that it's okay to make a messy beginning. A comment that I hear a lot is, I like watching you alter books, and I have a book here that I want to alter myself, but I'm so afraid of messing it up that I never get started. Well, the answer is don't. Don't even think about making your first or your second or even your third altered book out of something that is meaningful to you. Instead, why don't you go find a cheap book. Go to the thrift store, a yard sale, or a rummage sale, and get a couple of books that you're not afraid to break. Because in your first effort, you're going to get glue on everything, including places you didn't mean it to go, like that. Oops. Then you're going to find that things that you thought were glued down come up again. Or you're going to put too many pages in one section, oops, and not enough in another section. And your spine's going to pull, and you're going to have a messy book. And that's okay because you are learning. You are learning by doing things that turn out right and beautiful. And you are learning by trying things that don't work. You're learning by making mistakes. There is a reason why I keep these old, imperfect, messed up early books. And that is because, and this is what you're going to find with your first efforts, these are testimonies. Your first efforts are testimonies to your willingness to be brave and to begin and to make mistakes and to learn. If you do this with your first, your second, your third book, you're going to get the knack. And just as importantly, you're going to get more ideas, a better sense of what it is you want to say, what you want to express, and how to express it. And that is also really important. Then you can approach that book that's more meaningful to you, and you can start altering it with confidence. When you are choosing a book for your early efforts, think about choosing a book that is on the thin side. That is because when you prepare your book for altering, you are going to want to remove a few pages. That lets the book chunk up. But if you choose a thin book, you are going to be removing fewer pages, and removing fewer pages means a healthier spine in your sections. Now, this is no guarantee, but a healthier spine will hedge your bets and make your book less likely to collapse on you while you're working on it. It also means you're going to have fewer sections, which means you won't get overwhelmed. You will just be able to get into a book that you can start making beautiful pieces in, making mistakes in, and learning from, and then finish. Then move on to the next. When you have the knack, if you fancy, you can try a thicker book. This is one that I'm thinking about. We'll see. But I recommend starting small. Now that you've started with your first imperfect book, don't wait until you need another book to go looking for it. Instead, if you think that you're going to like book altering, make it a habit anytime that you are secondhand shopping in the thrift store, in the flea market, to keep your eyes open for an apt book for altering. Don't hoard, but yeah, make a little stash. And that way, when you finish one, you're ready to start on your next one and your next one. So make it a habit of looking for good books to alter and get a little library going. The same thing goes for images. It will take time, but if you start now, you will build up a visual stash. But don't wait for it to come to you. Anytime you are secondhand shopping, keep your eyes out, actively look for things that are in your visual vocabulary. For me, this is flowers or birds or anything with wings and angels. And so if I'm secondhand shopping, I'm looking in gardening, I'm looking in nature, I'm looking at coffee table books, and I'm actively seeing what's out there that I can add to my stash. Don't forget to check out things like old calendars, greeting cards, magazines. If you actively look for them, the images are out there and you will build up your library. I have a couple of videos about building up a visual library, and if you want to check those out, again, the link is in the text below. Now that you're building your image library, you're going to be doing a lot of cutting, a lot of fussy cutting. And if I could go back and give advice to myself when I was making my first altered book, I think the most important thing would be get scissors for paper cutting, specifically for paper cutting. Now, for the first year and a half that I was altering books, I was using scissors that I found in the kitchen drawer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big believer in using what you got and starting where you are now. But it may sound so obvious to go out and get better scissors, but I was doing it and it wasn't obvious to me. When I found that out, my cutting improved, it got sharper, my images were prettier, and it gave me more confidence in using them and making layouts in my altered books. They're not expensive. I swear by Cutterbee, and I think they're under $15 in the States and about £15 here in the UK. If that still isn't in your budget, save up for it or maybe give up some other art supply and invest in some good scissors. Fiskars also makes a very solid scissors. And you can find those in a craft store. You can also find Fiskars in pretty much any big box store. They're easy to find and they are very affordable. They're inexpensive. So get some scissors dedicated for paper cutting and you will up your game. Another thing about cutting paper that sounds crazy obvious was not to me when I was first starting out. And I wish I could go back and tell that kid with a pair of scissors and the images to turn them over. Do not cut anything until you've looked on both sides. Way too many times I would be cutting, I might have a pile of papers and I would be cutting while watching an old movie or something, and I wasn't really paying attention. And after I had cut out an image on one side, I would then see what I had cut through and realize that the one that I had spoiled would have been the better choice. I don't know, maybe I want these black and white owls more than I want these blue and yellow birds, or vice versa. But if I don't remember to turn the paper over and check and choose, I'll blow it. Turn your paper over. And there's a similar rule for gluing. Be sure if you're putting something down that you can't take off that you check twice. Now, if I want to alter this cover of a conventional book, it's pretty clear, it's very clear where up is and down is, where front and back is. But here is a book. This is a children's board book, and I painted the covers using paste paint. So now there's nothing to indicate which way is up and down and which way is front and back. And yep, I did it. I glued my images to the inside and made it really beautiful and perfect. It wasn't this book, it was one similar to it. Then I came back the next day, picked up the book, and glued on my cover image. I let it dry overnight, and then I came back and opened up my book, and yep, it did this. I was steamed at the time. Then I had a good laugh, because you know what? That is exactly what I mean by learning by doing it wrong. I never did that again. So, look twice before you glue, look twice before you cut. This last piece of advice, what I know now that I wish I'd known then, may seem like it's in opposition to the first piece of advice I gave, which was don't use your best books for your first or even your second effort. Well, this piece of advice is once you know what you're doing, once you've got the knack, once you have some experience, be sure that you use the good stuff. Be sure that you use your perfect, most beautiful images in your work. Now, I say this because I actually teach collage workshops here in my studio, and I know that it's a common anxiety. Not letting yourself use your best pieces. And the thinking goes something like this. I want to use this, but I can't use it because if I use it, then it's not there anymore. It's not available for making things in the future. I'm guilty of feeling that way. And you can't do that. You can't think that way. If you do, you will stifle yourself creatively. And here's the deal. More is on its way. I sometimes say that when I use up the good stuff, the paper gods send me more. And I have found that when I try to hide something and hold on to it, that they hold back from me, and all of a sudden, paper just doesn't seem to be coming my way. In a less mysterious take on that, it's not magic. If you are talking to your friends about what you're working on, if you're showing your beautiful, most charming pieces on social media, as you probably are, then one, people will start looking for pieces for you. Two, as you become more confident in your visual vocabulary, the images that speak to you, and using them, you will become more aware. And there are probably pieces out there that were right in front of you, but you might not have seen them because you weren't tuned into them. By working with your best images, you will start to see these more and more. And that's not just true because I live in an old country with lots of old books. I found this to be true when I lived in Tennessee and Mississippi. More is on its way. Let me give you an idea about this from Annie Dillard. And she said this when she was talking about writing, but let's apply it to creativity. One of the few things I know about writing is this: spend it all, shoot it, play it, lose it all right away. Every time, give it all, give it now. What she said: be creatively bold, give yourself permission to use your best pieces, and you're going to be making beautiful work. And that will make the world a better place. I promise. Is there something about making and creating that you know now that you wish you had known then? If so, why not tell us about it in the comments below this video? Then anybody reading the comments, including me, will be a little bit smarter and we'll all be the better for it. If you have any questions about book altering, let me know in those comments. Also, please check out the text below this video. There you're going to find links to previous videos. You're also going to find links to my online courses, my online shop, and my collection of printable versions of vintage paper ephemera that are available on Etsy. So go have a look. Until later, happy making.